Who am I and what am I doing? My name is Vicki and I am a compulsive overeater and an alcoholic, and I want to recover. And to that end, my job today is to trust God, clean house, and help others. Today, we're going to talk baked potatoes. So let's talk potatoes. For baking a potato, I prefer to use just the classic brown russet potato. When I buy them for baking, I do get the 5-pound bag that says Bakers on it. I don't need more than 5 pounds at a time because sometimes they like to grow eyes and do what they do in the dark in my pantry. So for this, we're looking for russet potatoes. Can you bake a yellow potato or a red potato? Sure. Is the timing going to be a little different and things like that? Yep. Is the skin going to be probably softer on a yellow and a red potato? Yes. So for baked potatoes, I'd say steer you towards staying with your brown russet potatoes. When you take them out of the bag, you want to check for the little eyes. If there's just a couple of little white nubs, just flick them off and wash your potatoes and you'll be just fine. If they are getting super sprouty and maybe a little bit soft, it's probably time to compost them, however you would do that. All right, so again, russet potatoes, time to wash them. All right, so I am starting with 4 potatoes. Now, couple of quick things about washing potatoes. Typically, they're not coated in mud. I swear, if you grew up on a homestead where you had potatoes from the garden, you have to kind of actually scrub them to get their dirt out. So you do want to just get them wet and either go over them with a little brush. You can use a nail brush. And sometimes people just have a designated dish sponge that they just kind of go over them real brief and knock off a little bit of the fluffy skin/dirt that may be present on the potato. Sometimes a rinse with just your hands is definitely enough. So once your potatoes are rinsed, we're ready to move on to the next step. Okay, here we go. So we are going to do baked potatoes kind of in an experimental format to show you what works, what doesn't work. The first thing that I will tell you is you can even ask our dear fellow Grant. I think he said something in his Facebook post that after some 30-something years of making his own baked potatoes and never punching holes in one, he finally had one explode. So is it an old wives' tale that you should put a few holes in your potato? No, yeah, you should. Can they explode if you don't? They could. So very simple thing. I just take my favorite sharp knife. I don't go crazy. We want to leave some of that steam in there. So basically what's going to happen is that the heat from the outside is going to steam the inside of the potato. And the goal is that it's going to get really flaky and fluffy on the inside. We don't want it to dehydrate so much that all the steam escapes and you kind of get this weird sludge. I don't know. I've had it happen. Can't explain it. Don't exactly know why it happens. It could be the makeup of the potato, water content, a lot of different things. I am a tried and true 4 pokes. So take your favorite sharp knife. I don't even use a fork. 4 holes. All right, so now we know our potatoes are safe and will not explode, even if it's only 1 potato in 30 years of your life. But we're good to go. All right, so we are going to set one aside because we're going to do a microwave method on one to show you how simple it is to microwave. We are going to do 2 methods. One, it's holes, it's washed, it's clean, it's ready for the oven. That works. The second one, we are going to do the foil method. Now, when cooking with foil, the shiny, pretty side is the outside. Your cooking surface is the dull side. We're going to put your potato in that, and we are going to wrap it. Now, one of the things that is believed about putting them in foil is it does keep the skin a little on the softer side, but they also say that it locks more of that steam in. It's kind of great for, like, say you are entertaining. This is a great method to get your starch in for yourself and feed a family, and it makes them in something that people can just grab one and go. All right, and then the third method is kind of my favorite. We have our holes. We are going to take our olive oil and our kosher salt. I love kosher salt. It's my favorite cooking salt, kind of my favorite eating salt as well. We are going to put just a drizzle, nothing too crazy, of olive oil, and we're going to coat the skin. Does this count as a fat? No. It's just a cooking method, a cooking spray. Could you use a spray? You could. You could probably spray a little on there and then just rub it all over. And then we're going to put a little bit of salt. I just usually do a little salt like that, and then you just kind of push it on there, or just leave it on the top layer. It's pretty. It tastes good when you eat the skin. Seasons it a little while it cooks, and we'll see the difference of the olive oil on one versus not having oil or anything on another, and one that's naked in foil. So we have our 3 varieties. I have my little oven prepped to 350 degrees, and we're going to put them in there, all 3 of them, for at least an hour. So my little oven happens to have a timer, so I always set it for more than what I'm going to need, so I can just stop it at any time. I have it set for an hour and a half for 3 potatoes. I cook at 350. A lot of what I see online says 400. Potatoes for me are something that you can bake along with a roast. You can bake along with a meatloaf. That's my favorite combo. So I just bake mine at 350. It's kind of the standard oven temperature. So 350, oven is set for an hour and a half. We know they're going to go at least an hour, and we'll give them a check. All right, that's it for this. Let's get them in the oven. All right, here we go. So we are at the big oven because there's better lighting over here. I'm preheated up to 350 degrees, and everything's ready to go in the oven. So I want to talk about potato placement. So if you put everything together and they're touching, yes, they will cook. Probably won't affect a lot of things. But just in knowing, in cooking, you want to space things out, because the goal is that the heat is going around every part, and the steam that is going to escape is doing its job. So you want to be able to have the heat rotate around and through with spacing in between. So like good 3 inches apart. So that's just something to consider. If they're all together, will they cook? Yes. Will the edges that touch maybe be a little bit different in texture because the steam was so close to each other that they didn't get a nice crisp? Yes. So most everything you cook, you want to space it apart. All right, so let's pop these in the oven. 350, plain old naked, kind of center of the oven. In foil and naked, center of the oven, lightly oiled and salted. So, center of the oven. So there are a couple, a good bar in between each one, and off they go. We will check back on them in an hour and test them and see how they're doing. In the meantime, we're going to do microwave baked potatoes. In a pinch, this is great. Can this be an easy staple and an easy thing to do to prep? Absolutely. So 1 potato, it's going to be about 8 minutes. So we have washed, poked our holes, nothing is on here, putting it in the microwave on high. We're going to do, so it's about 8 minutes in total. If you do a little research, it will say, oh, do 4 minutes and then turn it and then do another 4 minutes. So I'm just going to hit 8 minutes, and going by the sound, maybe I'll go in and I'll turn it. So off it goes, and we'll check back in a few. All right. So sometimes you have to try things to find out the best method. I'm going to say next time I would do a baked potato in the microwave, I'm probably only going to do about 6 minutes. It's a little bit like wrinkly, dehydrated. There's maybe too much steam that has released. But is it edible? Absolutely. Is it going to taste good with whatever your fat is of the day and with your meal? Absolutely. So let's cut it open. All right, 8-minute baked potato. I'm going to slice it down the center, and I'm going to do the fancy little poof. Now, this is what I mean by a strange texture. It's almost gummy. That happens when a potato is overcooked, which, can you boil potatoes too long? Yeah. Potatoes are full of starch. What does starch turn into? A type of glue. So I have a new potato in the microwave. We're going for 6 minutes and just see what happens. So here is a perfect example of I am not perfect. I don't always know all the things, but I'm willing to learn. In sobriety, in our recovery programs, willingness, being willing, right? So could you eat it? Sure. Would I want to eat it? No. All right, the 6-minute baked potato is looking perfect. We have a nice firm potato. It doesn't feel sticky on the inside. And so when I opened it, we have a beautiful steam release. We have a really nice texture, a nice kind of flaky texture. So I would say 6 minutes for one potato that kind of fits in your hands like this, 8 minutes for two. Okay, it's been 1 hour. All right, let's start over here. I give them a squeeze. This one feels a little firmer than this one, and about the same as this one. So again, just naked with holes. We got foil, which will unravel here in a moment. And then we have the one that we did the olive oil on. You can see how the skin has a little bit of a deeper, beautiful brown color. They feel about the same. It's not greasy. We did not coat this like we're going to deep fry it. But let's start over here with just basic potato. Let's do this. We'll do this kind of a cut, and then you take each end and you poof it. We have a very nice flaky texture. Very flaky, very nice. Loving it. The skin, not too thick, not too thin. If you like potato skin, it gets weighed with your portion. Great nutrients, they say, in them. So, all right, let's check what's in the foil. About the same, has a little different smell. Don't know what that means. And the skin is isn't as coarse. Again, doing this. This one actually could probably do another 15 minutes to a half hour in the oven. It's not all the way cooked. So foil takes longer to cook. That's what we learned from that. Could you just put this without the foil, obviously, in the microwave and zap it for like 1 minute? Yeah, I think it would come around pretty nice. I would wrap a paper towel around it just to hold it together and in its steam and just finish it off in there. But it's just a little bit undercooked in the center. So something we learned there. Skin is much softer. So kind of, if you don't like tougher skin, foil might be your answer. All right, let's move over to my personal favorite. Little bit of salt on the outside, has that really nice texture, color, and to me, it's fluffiest. The texture on the inside, something about that gives a coating that just does something a little bit different to the texture on the inside. And perhaps it cooked a little faster because this is an hour and it's a little more tender on the inside than even this one. So for me, this is my favorite method. I like just that little drizzle of olive oil and just massage each one. Sometimes I will put them on a plate and drizzle, 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 just a light amount of oil. Pick up each one, give it a good rub and put them down. I don't even always salt them, but when I do the oil on the skin, I do feel that they have a fluffier texture on the inside. I am sure there is a scientist out there that can tell us exactly how and why that happens, but that's not me. So yeah, so here we have potatoes. So what I'm going to do with all three of these now is I am going to just wrap this in paper towel, finish it off in the microwave so that it's done. And then all of these, I would myself, when I take them out of the oven, I wouldn't cut them unless I'm cutting what I need for my serving. I just let them cool and then I put them in a bowl. I don't even need a lid on it once they're cooled to sit in the fridge. And then when I grab out my potato, I cut off my chunk, I weigh it, measure it so that I know I'm having my 3-ounce serving with the skin on. If you don't want the skin, take the skin off, weigh your potato portion that you're going to eat, and move on. And then I can just put the rest of the potato right back in that bowl once it's cool. Sometimes I do put it in a plastic bag once it's been cut. So, all right, well, enjoy a very simple, easy starch, great product to be able to prep cook and have ready for you to go. So yeah, potatoes. All right, see you next time. All right, one more note about a baked potato. For me, I get 3 ounces of a starch with my lunch and dinner. And just over time, I have pretty much figured out that if I don't have my scale, say I'm at a restaurant and I'm going to have a baked potato as my good clean starch, it is just under half cut in half, which is usually 3 ounces. So 2.9. So I clear, honest, and intentionally, what I observed, just under half by the size of the potato, I can figure out about how much is going to be my 3 ounces. And then I would just plop that on my husband's plate because he would eat it. So he's very helpful. All right, so just wanted to throw that in on eyeball measuring a baked potato. Obviously, if it's a baked potato like this, it's going to be less than a third of it. So all right, clear, honest, and intentional. All right, take care.